Here's my spoiler-free review of The Strangers Chapter 1. Overall, this one is going to be a gnar for me. I'll get into some specifics, which might include some spoilers later, but overall, this one just felt sloppy. There was nothing unique to it. There was nothing in this movie that we hadn't seen done before. Not even just in the original Strangers movie. I'm talking just like predictable jump scares, like almost cheap jump scares even. The dialogue was pretty cheesy, the acting was not great, and it just feels unfinished, which I'll get to that later because I get why. Again, just overall forgettable, honestly. I would give this like a 4 out of 10. Now to get into more specifics, so this might give away some spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. I tried so hard to go into this movie with an open mind and to not compare it to the original Strangers. However, at the same time, if you are doing a reimagining of such an iconic movie, you need to expect that people are going to do that and you need to be able to live up to it. And live up to it, especially with the characters, because let's just start there. First up, in the original Strangers, I was fucking terrified of all three killers. Like, even in the original movie, one of the killers is played by Gemma Ward, who's a supermodel and must be 80 pounds soaking wet. But, like, she still manages to be terrifying. She still manages to have a part in the violence and the horror. The only killer that was scary in this fucking movie was the guy with the bag on his head. Simply because you could tell he had force. There was strength behind that axe. The other two were almost just like there to do his bidding and were just fucking useless in the whole thing. And like Maya and Ryan, you're fucking telling me you can't take these motherfuckers? One of them, I don't even know which one, but one of these bitches ran like this. You're honestly telling me you're gonna be scared of a motherfucker that runs like that? Like, you're not even gonna try to take her? Like, do better. And that's another part of it. Like, Maya and Ryan, the victims here, I am so much more invested in a horror movie when I feel like I'm rooting for the characters. I was not rooting for them. I didn't care about them. Like, I was, if anything, just fucking angry at them for the decisions that they were making. Like, the beginning of this whole thing, this man is axing down your door. You go and barricade yourselves in a room, and you just watch this man axe down your door. You don't even look for an escape. You don't try to get through a window. You don't even grab a fucking weapon. And then he walks away, and you're like, oh, I think they left. Like, bitch, they just went through all that. You really think they're just gonna fucking leave you alone? And then when Ryan has the gun to this bitch's head, he's just like going on a fucking tangent, talking to her, trying to be threatening, and then gets knocked the fuck out. Like, wow, you talked a big game for a bitch. Like, it was just so frustrating. Like, I'm not rooting for you guys to get out of this because you're fucking dumb. And then back to, like, the jump scare shit, I feel like the overall sound design of this movie was really poorly done. Like, the music was super basic, and, like, the specific jump scare example I'm thinking of is when Maya's in the shower and she backs up and the guy's just, like, standing in the fucking shower door and we can see him. They use this, like, cheap jump scare music that almost pulls you out of it. I feel like that scene would have been way more effective if it was just like silence and we just saw him standing there. Like, I feel like they did that in the original and that's why it was so effective. That's why it was so fucking scary. And then another thing they tried to take from the original but like tried to change to make it their own was the most iconic line from the original, "Because you were home." They made it "because you're here" in this one. And again, maybe had the original one not been a thing, I wouldn't have thought anything of that. But because it is a thing and because they decided to make a reimagining of it, it just fell so fucking flat. And again, the ending. Yes, I understand this is going to be a trilogy and I understand that it's to be continued. But even with that, it still felt unfinished to me. Like, I was sitting there feeling like there should be more movie, like it should end on more of a cliffhanger. It just felt really random. I completely understand that this one is a setup for the rest of the trilogy, and I'm really hoping that they can redeem themselves with that, but I unfortunately do not have high hopes after this.